So we're gonna talk about why customers would need a platform like Novacura. That's one thing. We're gonna set the scene with a customer example. Then I'm gonna talk about what the platform does, how it works. Also about some new capabilities we did built into the platform, about how we develop applications with the platform. And then we're gonna go to more of a realistic example, what we've done with AI, which is an receipt example. And then we're gonna connect the questions about why you would need a platform by taking the customer, we talk about the challenges in the end to talk about what they hit with Novacura. So that's what we did. The company we worked with is a US company. They're called Rudd Equipment. So they mainly focus on selling and maintaining big kind of haulers, loaders, and do service of those. So that's a field service example. They typically go out to sites, they maintain equipment, they record the transactions, and they are one of the best or top ones in the US. I haven't verified that stat, but apparently that is the case. And they have a bunch of people out there in the field that is using currently just paperwork on infrared fleet. Their main challenge was that those processes were not really documented. They had papers, they filled in the papers, they went back to the back office, they did all these timesheets and recording those transactions, took the code, spin them, and it was a situation where they could wait a few days until they actually be able to complete the work order, send out the invoice to the customer. In addition, they also had a challenge with getting those service and warranty things into the documentation of that customer, which also led them to potentially miss the revenue of those kind of things in the billing process. In addition, they also collected measurement data on the equipment to be able to kind of put in those measurements on the machine and equipment and to be able to predict what the next service engagement would be like. So that they had a bunch of challenges they wanted to address with the platform. They did look at existing solutions, but they deemed they were a bit too complicated with too many steps in those processes. And it didn't also fit the needs of their employees, because typically those people had big hands, big thumbs, and they want to have a simple system with it. Now, what is Novacura and what we do with the platform? So Novacura Flow is what we call an ERP app builder. It allows you to create solutions that are mobile. So we have native clients for Android, iOS, etc. They can be web-based, and they can be deployed using a very simple design, deploy kind of methodology. So it's very easy to create these applications. And we say we also like an ERP application builder. There's a ton of these systems out there, but we are specialized in ERPs because we have built connectors to Infor. We will also pre-build content to Infor solutions like in warehousing and manufacturing, other sale areas that maintenance, etc. So that's what we do. We focus on those areas. Now in Flow, we don't code a lot. We work in business processes. And this is a typical example of a business process in Novacura, where you see something called like these kind of users. Those are the user interface which the user will see inside their application when they pull up their mobile phone, or if they pull up their web client, or if they have an Android, that will see a user interface. Then we have these kind of small misrepresentation called cogwheels. Those are representing the actual coding. So this is where you would just design the user interface. And this is where you would, if you pull up these coding examples, this is where you'd be able to pull up information from, for instance, Infor M3 in a simple way. So we built in capabilities to make that easier with some concept called modules, which similar kind of writing SQL code into Flow to pull up data. So we've simplified the whole process of creating applications a lot. Now, when you've built your application, which is represented by the process diagram, you publish your application. This is just an example of that publication process. See if it starts the baby. Click on something here. That's would see the animation going on.
You will sort figuring everything's not that bad.
So applications, as you see, they're built in this kind of designer tool. This is called the Hub. This allows you to build applications in multiple environments. You have development, test, and queue environment. If you want to publish out an application, you build it in the matter, or you test it in the test business. But between those, you have an ease deployment process where you just hit the buttons, you click on deploy, you select which application to deploy, and then you move it over, you propagate it over to the next environment. Simple enough, it's just a one-click deployment process. Obviously, those different environments can also be connected to different Infor environments as well. So for instance, in development, you can work in a separate environment in Infor. And if you are testing, obviously you can have your own kind of QA environment in Infor with its own data set that you work with. So the whole process is quite simple when you build applications on Novacura.
See if you can do all distance.
Look, this is a Mac, so we have to show. There it is. Okay. As I said, we have focus on ERP and development of applications on ERP. There are basically 3 ways we simplify the process of creating applications. A, you can do it yourself. You can just start with a studio, draw out your application, and then you will have something you can run on your mobile device. That could be anything like that. We've also had something called a marketplace. So we have a team that actually builds applications pre-built with connectors to N4N3, real business processes like Good to See, that allows you to pull in applications directly and deploy them to your system. And then we also have coding assistance with AI capabilities, which enables you to basically generate stuff with Novacura Flow. The first example is where we have the marketplace. So if you would go now to marketplace.novacura.com, you will see our marketplace with applications we created. Those are available for customers to use. And if you want to use this, the typical scenario is when you want to deploy a solution is you go there, you pick up the application, and you put it on your Flow server. Represent this as animation. Once deployed, you have a process you can run. So now you actually have a business receipt process or a shop flow reporting application or a field service application. Typically, the customer would then want to optimize that. They would have their scenario covered by taking that application and modifying it. They would optimize that process according to their requirements. So they would take that one, redraw it, add some things in which are tweaked to their process. Maybe they want to take a photo when they receive the goods in the warehouse. Maybe they want to alert something. Maybe when they do shipping, they want to be able to send out a delivery note by email or whatever that can be catered for in the process. So that's what we do when we develop or create a project with a customer, use or leverage marketplace apps. We take them and then we deploy them or redraw them and have up the solution which is customer process. Now, there are another set of capabilities in the platform. Some of them are developed or actually already there. A Flow Builder app, which actually enables you to build apps with using AI. So basically prompts to generate applications. So obviously, we just generate an XML file. We don't go in there and say we're going to generate the whole application. The infrastructure is the same, like the Flow server, which covers the security, all those kind of things. The applications, the apps that you see on the phone, there's already generated. The only thing we generate is the workflow, the process, which enables us to develop a secure solution for the customer. It's nothing just generated out of the blue. We also have coding assistance. So when you use Flow scripting, sometimes we need to massage the information, join the information inside Flow to get that data set you want to work with. That can be done by AI. We also have an AI assistant that allows you to pull up information from which system, and I want to find which customer order lines that to be able to use, you can use that AI assistant with that. And then coming is also like our workflow optimization solution, which allows us to use the telemetry, when we gather the data from the system, what is the process, how is it running with the load point. We can use that to analyze the behavior of that process to see if there's things we can optimize and do better. Well, this is just example of the AI builder. Oops, just choose us. Nope.
It ran out. I think it. Yeah.
Stop. So this is just an example of that AI do. So anyway, this is solid. Yeah. So basically it's like ChatGPT, you prompt it, and what it does is just generate that workflow for you with API calls, the screens that you need, the logic behind this. But it's not generating a lot of code like that you need to deploy like an app in itself. It's just that work from that process. It still uses the same framework, the same engine to do that inside into flows. But I think that that is not the most interesting thing to do because we can do it quicker with the market-based templates. And then also like, obviously you need to optimize that process anyways by having a user look at it. Typically we see is like we see two trends like design time AI and then runtime AI. And I'm all for the runtime AI, including that one in the process to make more more effective decisions in the process. Would you say 20 hours in development or you want to spend 10 minutes a day per user per order? That's, I think, this is the big one for me. In this, we have a couple of examples in a lot of areas that you think is interesting. In supply chain, we can incorporate AI components in, for instance, PO receipt process to analyze the information you're receiving. One example is going to be the live demo that Greg is the debater, but we can also do it in manufacturing. We can do it in maintenance process or service processes. We can include those components, but uses the information you gather in the process and build better applications. So this is what I see is the future, what we are going to do at Novacura. And it's not hard. Like these are components you can use today without, going out of, the ordinary process that you have. And it's also secure because we have secured it by the Novacura. Now, Greg, for the live demo.
Take my turn.
Yeah.
Okay. So the demo goes pretty fast, but I'll give you a little bit of context of what I'm going to show. So it's just goods receipt, so a simple transaction. But my scenario is I'm going to start on a mobile device, which I'll share on the screen here. And the idea is I'm a person working at a remote project site, but I need to register the arrival of goods that have been shipped directly to that project site. So the first thing that will happen, and when I do the demo, I've already done this download. But since I'm potentially in some place where I don't have network access, I'm going to download some data. So our tool goes and queries some things like suppliers of projects and so forth from N3. We can filter that based on what I'm supposed to see. And it sends that and caches it on my device, so I have some access to data while I'm offline. So that's the first thing. Next step then is instead of manually entering a bunch of data about what's being received, I'm just going to I got a couple documents here, the fake delivery nips. So I'm just going to take a photo of a couple delivery nips. And then what I'll do is send that off to an AI agent that we have running behind the scenes. And that AI agent is going to parse the data fields off of the document, and then it's going to help us match those up a little bit with the purchase order information from N3. So the supplier name, for example, on the delivery note might be slightly different from what we have, so it will help us match up that data. And then I skipped the bottom step there. We're going to write it into a queue initially. So that's a storage area that we're managing in our platform. And the idea is we don't want that to go directly into M3. Instead, we're going to provide a portal where we have some back office people who can review these goods notices coming in, make sure that the AI parsing and so forth has been done pretty accurately, and then they can execute that final receipt transaction this way, which is that PPS 300 transaction at 3. And they'll just do that directly from this portal, so they never have to log into N3 themselves to go through this process. All right, so let me just show how this works. So the portal background.
We didn't mention that, but the portal interface is an alternative user interface to the mobile apps. it's using the same technology to pull up data, but you visualize it in so many ways that we use long quarters and allows you to build like very rich user interfaces.
All right, so I'm just running from my phone here. This is a demo environment, so I have lots of apps out there, but I favorited this one at the top that says upload a delivery ticket. So I'm just gonna get this simple interface. I have some information I can fill out here, and this is the stuff that was downloaded from M3. So it's gonna require me to select a project. I'll just pick one of these. And then there's a few other things that I can select if I know this information. So if I know who the supplier is, I can go to a list here. I'm going to search, and I know the one I'm looking for this first delivery note. I'm not going to go to purchase order, but that one now filters. So based on that supplier I selected, it's now giving me a list of open purchase orders that are there for that specific supplier. But at this point, I'm just going to do the photo. So I'll click add file. I'll pick my camera. Hopefully I can get a good enough photo of this. And I'll say use photo. And then I'll submit. So what's happened now is that's gone into a queue on my device. So if I were offline, it would sit there until I have a connection. I'm online right now, so it's going to pick it up fairly fast. But it takes probably 30 seconds or so for the AI to process it. So I'm going to do one more photo. So I'm going to select the same project. Let's pick one other different supplier, or keep this one. I'll let my photo up here. Oops. And then we'll submit that. Right, so now I'm done on the mobile device. So let me take this thing off for now. And this is where we face the perils of live demo. Hopefully, if I refresh here in my portal view, so the idea here is I'm now no longer the person on the project site. I'm in the back office watching for these goods receipt notices to come in. And I should see a couple of them here that got picked up. So this, hopefully you can see that okay, yeah. This row sling one is the first one. And as I select there, things start to update. So it's showing me over here like an individual form with details of that goods receipt notice. If I want to see my team that to come up, being images. But if I want to see the photo that was taken, I can see that and zoom in on it if I want to. The other thing that has happened here is if we look down at the bottom, it's showing me the match lines. So these are the items on the PO line that have matched up. And you can see the original order quantity versus the quantity that you were receiving in that delivery note. And I could come in here and make edits to this. So I could change the receipt quantity if I needed to. Save those updates before I do the receipt into M3. The other item we can point out quickly is available lines. So in this case, the delivery note didn't cover all of the lines on the PO. So there's two more over here that were more like software licenses. So if I wanted to mark those as received, I could select them and just hit connect here and say, yeah, those actually got received as well. And then ultimately, when this data looks good, I have a receive button. And that's where we execute that PPS 300 transaction and report these as receipt to M3. So that's the demo. Questions about that before we flip back? Make sense?
Just real quick, if I can't read, is there what she saw? Alright, about digital principle flow as well. How about the range of scale?
Possibly. I mean, the AI is actually pretty good at picking up some of that stuff. So it might get it, but it's not going to be 100% for sure on handwritten data. But that's the idea of putting it into this portal view. So if you got some photos that were bad or things that were handwritten that the AI couldn't understand, you at least have a chance for a human to look at that photo and make corrections to the data before it goes into it.
Eventually, yes, they might. You can take the step further like that. Have that last step removed. The idea was to hand out a simple tool for the people at the construction site to be able to kind of process this in an easy way. And then, of course, if they want to have a secure solution, to make sure it doesn't, bail out and stuff like that. But yeah, the improvements going on, when we deploy the first version of this one, when roll it out as you do is in a second iteration, you see things you could just automate the whole process.
Yeah, if there's any error messaging on N3, where you just say, I get to both to N3.
That would be here in the portal links.
So if you on that receive there, always issue N3, that would be mind.
But feedback, it responds back with the M3 messages exactly as you'd see them if you were doing it in M3 directly.
Is it a problem or is it?
It pops up in a dialogue. It's
Yep. I'm still.
They're very back-to-back these days. Business.
And this is an app you built yourself, or is this one of the templates you're showing from the marketplace?
I built this myself with bits and pieces borrowed from the templates. I don't really know the N3 APIs myself. I also come from IFS like Aksel, but I can borrow those from the marketplace examples that we have, so I don't have to know too much to do it.
So as the application builder is very flexible, you can just copy paste on different solutions into this one. So you don't have to do a lot of the action programming like that. Just make it copy paste and that having good ideas. That is the big challenge like that. Going back to RUP, they built out a field service which uses Novacura the same way that Greg has showed you the goods receipt order reporting. That was basically like the queue for technicians. That's basically our calendar view. But they use that once published the actual work orders in the calendar view, so they see a day by day what they're going to do. When they click on each item, it pops out which work order they have for that singular day. When they then click on a singular work order day, they go into the job detail screen where they can see information about the job. They can see where to go with a back control we have, so you can check on the map and then you go to the map and you can see the navigation to that site where you go. They have also access to historical information about that asset that they're working on. Could it be the same error or same causal coming up multiple ways? And they have also easy way to do is very small here for you to see time reporting and transactions based on that one to kind of to capture the time that's been spent and the equipment of all the items that can use directly from that job. And here's some screens about the time reporting. Very simplified view of things, to be able to enter both the time, what material did they using, and the other expenses. That we just go directly into transactions on M3 to do the billing for that job. They had a simple way to be able to capture photos. I mean, there could be things they want to maybe take a note of for the next job, to pop up. So they had it easy, just take a photo, maybe even draw some things on that photo before it went into the system that we could take on. That stores directly into the document. IDM it's called, for Needwood as well. And finally, this was one of the things that they also did. They actually produced the time report like a document. So we also have the capability to produce documents that is not an Infor. So we have our own document generation capabilities. So this was a complete time report generated by Novacura that we then stored on that service order, which is also then sent out to the customer, right?
This company does a lot of warranty repair work for Volvo equipment, and Volvo required these timesheets anytime they did warranty repair. So this was like a big gain because they used to have to key these manually into Excel after the work was done. But now Flow generates the PDF automatically and sends it off the wall.
Yeah. So that also shortened lead time for them to be able to get paid because they wanted those timesheets before they actually got, and approved to get paid like that.
When you say you send the estimate, how do you deliver it? Is it email? Is it
Yeah, so it generates a PDF, sends it up, but it also attaches that to the work at Flow as well, for the same time. So in summary, we could do a lot of things like that. It could be manufacturing, it can be procurement, supply onboarding processes, maintenance, field service. The tool is very generic. There are really good examples in every of these areas. Typically what we do see is a very fast onboarding time for employees because what we do is we design process with a step-by-step user interface, simplifies the whole, or you don't need a lot of training. Obviously there's exceptions to that one. We have also simplified the report analytics, the structured way we report things, because as we control the process, we can also control what the user enters in the system, which is very critical in certain scenarios. You get the right information, you don't get crap data into your system. And that's also important if you want to use AI later on, because control where you ethnic information enables you to use that data more effectively. And we also have faster invoicing and revenue because we could send out information to the customer. You can also then generate invoice faster to them. And also like the productivity, the reporting, the whole reporting will simplify because they can do it in a simple app rather than write down stuff that will send off back office to do the reporting. And final note, it's documentation to be able to capture information, store it in an effective way so you can keep track of what's been happening on that specific machine. Also major important features that's part of the platform. I think that's it. They're looking for future enhancements. One of them is the management portal to be able to do planning. So it's a portal solution that they're looking to expand the solution with, and of course other solutions, but so speed up things. I don't know if you have questions, anything that you want to know. If you have questions, I know the time is short. We are at the booth at the WRL. We are the Lego company with us. As always, it's easy to build with Lego as it's a little bit of Novacura. It's a couple of booth, ask a few questions, get a Lego set. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.